welcome to this week's episode of Not D&D, brought to you by EN World Live. I'm your host, Jessica, and those that are canny-eyed among you may notice that someone else from EN is here. We have this week Russ with us. Russ, thanks for coming on.
Me?
That would be you.
Yes.
So
I was looking around to see if there was anyone else, but no, it's definitely
no, it's just us talking. So
okay.
usually on Not D&D, we have different creators on that make other games and stuff, but also at EN Publishing, we also make games. And so this week we're going to be talking about a game that we're coming into Kickstarter tomorrow, launching, which is What's Old is New. So we're going to be talking about that this week as well. Because why not? Because we also make games and we have lots of other people on, was the idea.
Yes.
So you've been on before, like over a year ago. You're the first guest because I was worried no other guests would come on and talk to me. So I was like, lucky. You have to come. Yeah. We talked about the Ultimate Default Engine. Yes. And in that we talked about this. You do, yes, you should. It's recorded online, so you can check it out.
Yeah, I can't deny it ever happened.
No. Don't gaslight me out of that.
Video format, yeah.
Exactly. But then we talked about your background and history of role-playing games. So instead of going through that again, because people can just go back and watch Awfully Cheerful Engine, I thought we'd talk about the history of What's Old is New, because this is a system you created close to a decade ago now. Is it fair to say?
Don't say that.
Okay, so tell us about when you first created What's Old is New and what your idea was behind it.
So this is 2015, I want to say, give or take. And there's a whole load of 80s games that I really liked, and one of them was like Star Trek, and another one was like the Ghostbusters role-playing game, and there's a whole load of stuff back then which I really liked. And I'd always kind of been in love with dice pool systems, and I'd always wanted to make one. So what I wanted to do at the time was I wanted to make a basically at first I just kind of wanted to make a Star Trek-y game. Was the start, and then it kind of grew from that, and then I realized I could also make a fantasy one and they could use the same rules and be compatible. And then someone came along, Mike Myler came along and said, hey, guess what, I can write the middle one, I can write a modern action one. So in the end, we had a Kickstarter back in 2015-16 or something for the 3 hardcover books, and created this system, the What's Old is New system. And that's the history. So I made it back then, and it's probably one of my favorite games to play. I really enjoy it. We've had licensings like Judge Dredd powered by it. We've had lots of our own sort of adventures and settings powered by it, like Xenomorphs and Spirits of Manhattan, and from Dusk to Dawn, and things like that. So covering a whole lot of different genres. And that's kind of the history of it. That's how it happened.
And also it's a category on DriveThruRPG. If you look in the systems, you can see What's Old is New there. And there's also third-party content as well. So because I think at the moment a lot of people are very keen to have, for some reason, want to know about third-party content creation, how that works. Could you tell us a little bit how that works with What's Old is New?
Yeah, so we've got various different ways you can do it. So I've always believed that an open game is a successful game, and a well-supported game is a successful game. So there are different ways you can do it. So depending on what suits you as a creator, you can make content for What's Old is New. So you can use the Open Gaming License, which is how we first did it back in the day, because the Open Gaming License was a popular thing at the time. Less popular these days for some reason. I'm not sure why, but so there's the Open Gaming License, still valid, still there. You can still use that. It's now in Creative Commons as well, so you can use that if you like.
Okay.
Once the new Orc Open RPG Creative License comes into being from Azure Law and Paizo, it will be available under that, so you can use that if you prefer. And finally, there's the What's Old is New publishing syndicate, which is kind of like DM's Guild. DriveThruRPG have a whole load of different sort of community content things. You could also do it like that, and when you do it like that, you don't need to worry about any licenses or anything, because you can even use our settings and all our different IP and art and things as well. So you can do that as well. So that's currently four different ways you can make products compatible with What's Old is New.
Also, so whatever license you're more comfortable with and just works for
Yeah.
what you're trying to do. Awesome.
Basically,
And
yeah.
all the links and details on that are on What's Old is New RP, so WOINRPG.com, which is on the screen there, or links in the podcast show notes if you want to check that out, if you are a third-party content creator. So great. So it sounds like there is a role-playing system that already works and exists. There's 3 core books for the different kind of settings, whether you want it to be like old kind of fantasy, whether you want it to be like modern action or like futurist sci-fi.
There's a whole bunch of source books as well. There's like books of the Galactic Sentience Catalogue, which is tons of alien species that you can play. There's the Starship Construction Manual. There's the Starship Recognition Manual. There's loads and loads of source books out there. There's loads of adventures. There's loads of these sort of one-off sort of setting adventure books. So there's Spirits of Manhattan, which is kind of you go around catching ghosts in New York in the 1980s,
busting them, if you will.
Bust. If one were to do so, one might use the word busting, I suppose.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. There's a few of those different ones set in different genres. So there's a couple of fantasy ones, a couple of sci-fi ones, a couple of modern action ones. So there's a whole load of different settings and stuff that you can do there. So it's really well supported. There's tons of stuff out there for it already.
Great. So there's loads of stuff. It already exists. What are we doing now? What's the new thing?
We are making a starter set.
Boom. That looks like this.
Boom. Yes. So I'm acutely conscious that What's Old is New, while being awesome and amazing, does consist of 3 big hardcover books.
Yeah.
And while you don't need all 3 hardcover books, you only need one of them to play, as long as you want to stick with that genre. They're standalone books. What I kind of thought was we really, really do need a sort of more entry-level product that people can sort of learn the system without having to fork out for great big hardcover books and have a massive, massive info dump. So that's what this is. It's a starter set, literally in name. It's a starter set. It is a starter set. It's got everything you need to start play. You need nothing else apart from what's in that box. And
it's like half the price of what you'd pay for just one of the core books.
Yeah, I think on the Kickstarter it's going to be 24 quid, I think. And with the amount of stuff in it, I got to say, that's a really good deal. I think.
We wanted,
if you look at how much stuff is in that box.
Talk us through, because not everyone will be watching this live. Some people will be listening on the podcast, so they cannot see this wonderful visual graphic that we have.
Podcast?
Yes.
Talk us
through.
To be alive.
I know, it's amazing technology these days. What's in the starter set?
Okay, item number 1 is a softcover rulebook. So this book is 68 pages long. The first half of it is basically the rules to the game. The second half of it is a bestiary. So it's got like 40 odd different monsters and foes that you can use from all different genres. So there's like industrial robots and Terminator type things. And there's zombies and goblins and ogres and giants. And there's like soldiers and modern stuff as well. So a bestiary and core rule book all in one book there in a softcover book. That's the first thing. There's then 3 adventures. There's a fantasy adventure called Dilemma and Decay. There's a modern horror adventure called Habits and Circumstance, I think. Happenstance, yes. Yeah. Alliteration. I knew there was alliteration in there. Habits and Happenstance. And finally, The Silence of Sefton Station is a sci-fi one. So
they all sound a bit creepy.
Yeah, I suppose a little bit. Yeah. Slightly, maybe a little bit. Yeah. Okay. But one for each genre there. So you can play in any of those 3 genres you wish with the starter set. Okay, what else is there? So each of those adventures, there will be a pre-generated party of adventurers to go with it. Each of these parties, there's six pre-generated characters, 6 fantasy ones, 6 modern ones, and 6 sci-fi ones. I mean, you don't have to use the ones with the adventure. You could swap them over and stick a wizard in the spaceship if you really want to. It will still work if you want to mess with the themes a little bit. But so there's 18 pre-generated characters. So the Alpha Squad is the modern one. The crew of the Starship Murphy is the sci-fi one, and then the Grey Fellowship is the fantasy one. and each of them contains 6 characters, all pre-generated, ready-made for you to play. Because
so you don't have to do any character creation.
The starter set doesn't have character creation rules in it, because character creation in What's Old is New is quite an involved life path system. So we're trying to get people in and playing as quickly as possible.
Amazing. So, in addition, it looks like there's maps and there's tokens for the adventures.
The first of all, poster maps, tokens, dice,
and some
tons
dice.
Of stuff. Tons of stuff. Yeah.
So literally everything you need to play.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Everything you need to play. Yeah.
Sounds like great. There's a lot of stuff in there, but what for people that aren't familiar with What's Old is New, what is actually the game? So what's kind of the core mechanic?
Okay, so it's a D6 dice pool system, because I love D6 dice pools, and a lot of my games are D6 dice pool systems.
Sure.
Awfully Cheerful Engine is a very simple D6 dice pool system. This is a slightly more complex D6 dice pool system, but they're all D6 dice pool systems. So you have a bunch of attributes. This is like strength and charisma and logic or magic or psionics or something like that. So these are like your core sort of raw talent.
Okay.
Kind of what you're born with. So you have a bunch of those, and each of those is going to have a score in it telling you how many dice you get to roll.
Okay.
And then you have a bunch of skills, and these are things you learned. And that could be anything like in the fantasy game, it might be herbalism or tracking or swords or climbing. And in a sci-fi game, it might be astrophysics or piloting or rifles or stuff. So stuff you learn. So when you make an attribute check, you can combine any attribute with any skill. Like the GM will usually decide what it is. So one example I kind of use in the books is you're climbing a wall, and it's like this old church. And the player goes, okay, the GM goes, right, this is obviously an agility check to climb this wall. And the player goes, I've archaeology as a skill. Can I use that rather than climbing? Because I would know like where the handholds are and which gargoyles I can hang off and stuff. And the GM would go, yeah, that makes sense. So make an agility archaeology check. So you can combine any attribute with any skill, as long as it makes sense. You can't, do anything. But as long as it makes sense, you could do that. So you might have like 3 dice in agility, 2 dice in climbing. So you roll 5 dice and try and beat your target number. So that's the basic core mechanic. And everything runs off that. Combat runs off that. Attribute checks, skills, everything runs off that same basic mechanic.
Simple. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty
so
simple.
You're basically going to be picking up a whole load of D6 dice and just chucking them at the table.
Yeah, it'd be like rolling fireballs every round.
Amazing, good fun.
Yeah.
So that's the crux of it. And it sounds like and you mentioned with the characters there is a life path system that's not included in the box set because we've got pre-generated characters. But if people were interested in seeing how that works, is there somewhere online they could have a gander at that?
So all of the rules for What's Old is New, and this isn't just the starter set rules, this is the full rules, are on the rules reference document, which you can find at WOINrules.com. WOINRULES.com. And that has got all of the rules of the game. It is very much kind of just like the mechanics. It hasn't got a lot of the descriptive text and the examples, and so I think generally speaking it's not a substitute for the books, but if you basically know how to play the game, you can run it off of the W.O.I.N rules website.
Perfect.
Yeah, and there's everything on there. There's so much stuff on there.
Yeah, there's loads of different resources I've seen. Like there's you've got the online tools that have like a big catalog of all the different like equipment that you can have.
Yeah, so that's so that's W.O.I.N Gear, WINGEAR, and that is basically a sort of fictional catalog of equipment. Archaic equipment, fantasy equipment, modern equipment, and sci-fi equipment, and starships and stuff. So every bit of equipment in the core rule books is on there. From every, so there's all the different millions of pole arms, because I couldn't help but put tons of pole arms into the fantasy game. Up to lots of grenades and stuff, and body armors and vehicles in the modern stuff, and and all the sci-fi scanners and all the laser swords and all the stuff that you would get in a sci-fi game as well. So everything is on there. Tons and tons and tons of equipment, all just sitting there.
Yeah, loads of other links and resources and stuff for online stuff there. So you can go to what'soldisnewrpg.com. And if you do just want to play online, we are offering a digital version of the box set. Now, the obvious picture we're showing, the pretty box set, is like a physical one. So if you're playing in person, but we do have like a digital version of it with like maps some tokens that you can use and things like that.
So all of those tokens, there'll be digital versions of those tokens, so you can use those on virtual tabletops. The maps, obviously, you can use on virtual tabletops. There's going to be like PDFs available as well for people who prefer PDFs. So if you want to play it digitally or online, we've got that covered as well. You don't have to have the box set, but the box set is gorgeous and look amazing on your shelf.
Yes, and of course, when you buy the box set, you get the digital version for free as well. So
yes, that's like we do that all the time with everything. If you buy a physical product off us and there's a digital version of it, you'll get that for free.
Amazing. So you've talked about, so you get all this, you get all the stuff, you get your character sheets, so you can see how the characters work. You get the rule book there, like a condensed version of the rule book. That must have been difficult to do, to get it down to that number of pages when it's got 3 big core books.
Yeah, the 3 big core books are like 300 pages each.
How did you condense that? How did you decide what to keep in?
With great difficulty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the core mechanic bit wasn't too bad. The core mechanics of the game don't take up that much space. It's when you start getting into all the sort of like systems like magic and stuff like that. So magic in the fantasy game is quite a big chapter, and it's a whole system where you create spells on the fly using a sort of verb noun system and spell points. That is not what we're using in the starter set. We've streamlined that right down to about a 2 or 3 page magic system. Much simpler. And the way it kind of works in the starter set is you basically pick a theme for your mage from your magic using character, and that could be anything. It could be like fire, or it could be insects, or you know, or it could be like necromancy or whatever. So that's the theme. So all of your spells, whatever you do, are going to basically run off that theme. So if you're trying to, you know, you say, I'm casting a spell to unlock that door. If you're a fire mage, then probably what you'll do is melt the lock. If your theme is insects, probably what will happen is a load of termites might turn up and eat their way through it or something. So
delicious.
You know that, So that kind of determines the sort of way your spells manifest themselves. And then basically using spell points or magic points, you can basically select from a sort of smallish catalogue of options. So you can choose the range, the damage, the area of effect, and a few other bits and pieces in order to build that spell in a much more simple way than you can in the big core rules. Just build that spell, and there you have it. Bob's your uncle, as it were, and you got your spell.
Perfect.
Quick. Yeah.
Ideal. All right. So managed to condense a lot of the key rules into that rule book, so it's a really good quick overview.
There's other stuff like there's starship combat in a sci-fi game, which obviously we haven't included in this because that's a big chapter in itself. And things like space travel, and there's lots of things which we haven't included, and of course the core rule books also have all the careers and heritages and things like that, which obviously aren't in the starter set either.
But the starter set is meant to give you an idea of what the system is and a feel for it before you invest in it. And I think a lot of people are in a place where they're trying out different systems. And so it doesn't mean you have to spend all that, like you say, invest in all the core books to be able to run a game and just try it out. See if it's your thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of trying it out, we mentioned there's 3 adventures in the book. Are they designed to be like one shots, or how do they play?
They're shortish, probably one shots or 1 or 2 sessions. They're not long.
Okay.
I think they're about 20 odd pages each, give or take. Okay. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly how many pages they came out to. So they're sort of.
Okay. Can you give us an overview on each of them if we go through? So I was going to say, starting with the one that's fantasy old setting, Dilemma and Decay.
So, Dilemma and Decay. So this is an adventure where the Grey Fellowship are the pre-gens for that one. There's this sort of curse spreading out across the land from this bog, from this sort of marsh, and it's spreading out across the forest and stuff. And the local governor hires the Grey Fellowship to go and investigate. So there's a little bit of overland travel as they go venture into this sort of cursed land to find out what's going on. And they meet some animals which are going a bit sort of wild, and well, they're already wild, they're wild animals, but you know what I mean, going a bit
wonky.
and things like that. So there's a bit of overland travel, and then they uncover the mystery of what's going on at the center of this thing and solve that. So that's what that one is. Okay. Without giving away the actual spoiler of what.
And I mean, no spoilers, but there's a picture on the front, and I figure that that being has something to do with it, I'm guessing, as they're on the front cover.
May or may not.
Couldn't say. All right. Habits and Happenstance, which is in like a modern now kind of setting.
Yeah. So I might as well say it features vampires and an order of nuns. Yeah. Did you not know that?
Gasp.
Oh, you did know that.
I did, but I'm playing up because I'm playing the role of the audience. I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, I can see that that sort of drama training that you had.
Yeah, I used to be an actress. Can you tell? A failed one, which is why I gasp. So anyway, sorry, Habits and Happenstance. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
you're telling me about Habits and Happenstance. You say it's got vampires in it. Okay, great.
Yes, it has a order of nuns who are dedicated to getting rid of the vampires. And the player characters, the Alpha Squad in this case, get enmeshed in this. And there's a chase scene, there's stuff in the subway underground, and there's vampires. And again, without spoilers, that's about all I can really say.
That's fair enough.
But that's what that one is.
So another creepy story, as we said.
Yeah.
Great. And then moving into new, which is the sci-fi setting. Silence on Zephon Station. Again, doesn't sound a cheery story.
Yeah, so the space station's gone silent. The large corporation hires the crew of the Starship Murphy to go and investigate. They go and check it out to find out why it's gone silent, and
I'm sure everything's fine.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, they just went on holiday or something and forgot to turn out
everyone's just having a nap. That's all. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. And that's what that one's about.
Amazing.
And there might be a xenomorph in it as well, but that's not the focus of the adventure. It just got chucked in at the end, just for
casually.
Fun. Yeah.
Casually. Okay, amazing. So 3 full adventures that you can play through there that are like 1 or 2 sessions to play, so you can get involved and kind of try it out and see if it's kind of your thing. I think that's a lot of the questions I was going to ask you about. If people are interested in having a look, do we have where's the best place for them to do that?
What, for the Kickstarter?
Yeah.
By the time people hear this, will the Kickstarter be live by then, or possibly not?
Well, no, the Kickstarter's going live tomorrow.
Oh, right, gotcha. Okay,
because this is going out on Monday. So the pre-launch page
yes, I totally forgot.
That's okay. We're pre-recording this
today.
Because
today is Monday.
No, because happy birthday is actually your birthday, so you know.
Yes, on Monday it's my birthday, which is why we're pre-recording this. Yeah.
Yes. Did you not want to spend it talking to me? But anyway, so we have the Kickstarter page on the link is in the podcast show notes, are on the screen that you can have a look now if you want to follow the Kickstarter. And that's actually a really helpful way to support us. So because the more people that follow it, the more people that see it and gives us a little boost. And also, if people are wanting a little preview of the What's Old is New system on the website, W.O.I.N.RPG.com, the About What's Old is New section, the link I'm putting in the show notes and on the screen, has some free previews of the game and the core rulebook, so you can have a look and see.
Those previews will be on the Kickstarter page as well.
And they're on the Kickstarter. Oh yeah, they're on the Kickstarter page and they're on the site if you're looking today. But it launches on Tuesday, and we're really excited about it. And I think we just want more people to have a look at the system. It's a system we want to kind of support and revamp a bit, that's been out for a while, and we're hoping the starter set can let people give it a try. Yeah,
I am hyper excited.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think that's all there is to say then. So Russ, thanks for coming on. I think you kind of had to because I told you to. But thank you for your time anyway.
How does that work?
And thank you to everyone that watched or listened. I'd love it if you could check out the Kickstarter page and follow it for the pre-launch. That would be really helpful. And check it out and have a look and see if it's something you'd like to give a try. That's all we have for this week, and we'll be back next week with a different indie tabletop RPG creator that isn't a system that we've made at EN Publishing.
Yes.
All right. Thanks very much.
Au revoir. Bye-bye.
Bye.